I have to say there is something incredibly demoralising and abstract about this annual pantomime, really. The hype that belies the real lives of citizens out there. And, you know, I'm sure you think you're great over there, patting yourselves on the back that there's no obvious banana skins, there's crumbs for everyone in the audience, but actually, you know, not only is this budget not going to transform the lives of ordinary people, it's actually not even going to make a blind bit of difference to anybody. And critically, I have to say, it fails to alter the strategic direction of the Irish economy. Trajectory accelerated by the bailout, after all, why waste a good crisis, which fast-tracked the redistribution of wealth upwards. And let's be clear, it was a political choice 10 years ago to burden the public with private debt. It was a political choice to impose austerity, to reduce the tax base, to undermine public services and public jobs, wages and conditions through Haddington Road and Fempey. And it's a political choice today to fail to address the structural underinvestment highlighted by organisations such as Social Justice Ireland, who really point out that our social wage falls well behind that of our EU counterparts, while spending here per capita is some 12.6% below the average of our EU counterparts. And nothing in this budget here today is going to alter that. But you know you don't care, because that's not your agenda. You want to continue the process of privatising public assets, of outsourcing public functions like CTEC, administering unemployment benefits with some sort of their own personal press. I mean, I have to say, listening to the Minister bragging about how he's putting more money into homelessness and HAP. If your policies were working, you'd be putting less into those areas, not more. He bragged about having the lowest levels of unemployment. But what does that really mean? With more people at work, surely you'd be thinking, wouldn't you, that that would mean that people could afford homes, that they could afford childcare? Shouldn't it mean that we've less poverty, that we've better health and education systems? But it doesn't mean that. What it actually means is we've a new phenomenon, the working poor, where the state steps in to make up the failure of employers to offer a living wage. And a permanent pensionable job is as much a lie today as it was before the budget. According to the CSO, in the 10 years since the bailout, the numbers in part-time employment have increased by 33,700 and those in underemployment by 29,300. A recent survey of 1,000 bar workers by mandate showed that only 44% of them were in full-time work, 49% of them in vulnerable work, and a clear majority feeling that their hours were used as a stick to beat them. Similarly, in Dunnes Stores, 76% of workers on flexible contracts, whereas 98% of them wanted more stable hours. And what was the response to that? Well, we had them messing around in here with Sinn Féin's bill, which attempted to deal with it through banded hours. You came up with a watered-down version of that, and then Fianna Fáil come in at the last minute, scupper that and drag it out, no doubt, helped by lobbying from IBAC behind the scenes, while we have the WRC dealing with blatant employers who just ignore the organisations of the state, completely toothless. Tesco's, Lloyds, Dunnes and TK Maxx between them have 25,000 workers completely ignored, don't engage with the WRC. Lloyds Pharmacy getting contracts from the state. Uncertain working conditions, we see it in the universities, where casual employment contracts are the order of the day. We see it in our airlines, where we've become a flag of social dumping, a flag of convenience, where pilots are on contract labour, their employers not paying employer PRSI, them not getting the basic benefits of our employment protection. So what we're talking about here is a wage-deflated economy, which, when you couple it with the rising cost of houses, be it in the private rented sector, it's not a stepping stone to a stronger economy. Actually, the elevated cost of living is compounded by a poor social wage, and market-driven policies are actually not providing solutions at all. And the solutions that you came up with today of subsidising landlords actually make the problems worse, not better. I know we'll have time to debate more of these points tomorrow, Ceann Comhairle, but in conclusion, we have to say that we still have one of the lowest public spending budgets per capita in the EU, which is continuing to put our public services under enormous strains. We've one of the lowest effective rates of corporation tax in the world, and you set up a rainy day fund when outside the people are pointing out that it's absolutely lashing for those who are experiencing the housing crisis, and you've done nothing to alleviate that, while the giant elephant in the room is the catastrophic announcement yesterday of the impact of climate change and how close we are to the brink. And the Minister turns around and talks about step change and an incentive to put people in hybrid cars. If the implications weren't so serious, we'd be absolutely splitting our sides laughing. There's been people who talk about loony economics, but you know what? You've shown yourselves to be incredibly disconnected from reality when you bring in a budget that fails to deal with that.